Hello guys, welcome to a new video here in JS Education. My name is Carlos Santana and this is the video number 13 for the course developing a headless CMS with TypeScript and GraphQL. So let's start. So the first thing we need to do, as always, is to run ncu-u in our front-end and back-end project, and make sure you are copying the versions you are seeing on my terminal to avoid any possible issue. Okay, after this, we need to go to backend, source, GraphQL, resolvers, and we are going to open the app.ts file. So in here, we need to add a new method or a new query called getAppById, which basically is going to receive an ID of the app and is going to find that app by ID and then returns the first element. Basically, if even is returning one element, is in an array, so you need to return the position 0 like this. Then we need to go to types and then app.graphql, and we need to specify the query that we just created like this. We're going to receive an ID as a string, and we are going to return an app. Then here on our index, probably it's a good idea to remove the force and just keep it as false for now. Now we are going to move to the front end, and we need to open the next.config.js file, and we are going to add 3 new alias. So the first one is going to be the dashboard, which is going to resolve to source/app/dashboard. The second one is going to be constants, this one, and the third one is going to be add UI for a new component that we need to create. Oops. Like this, and then we need to, give me 1 second. So after we add this alias, we need to go to tsconfig, and then we need to add those new paths. So the first one is gonna be after models is the dashboard, because the same thing, like dashboard is inside apps, so we need to be careful and put this before app, otherwise it's not going to work. Then the constants can be after config, and the UI needs to be before shared because it's also inside shared. Okay. So another change that we need to do is we need to install a package in our front end as a dev dependency called Husky, and this is going to add a way to run some commands in our pre-push or pre-commit Git hooks. So in this way we can make sure that all the code we send to the repo is gonna be linter free, and later on we can add also the unit test to this commands. So the thing we need to do is going to package JSON, and basically you need to add this command Husky hooks pre-commit and then the command you want to run, in this case npm run lint. So if you have a linter error and you try to commit, basically it's going to block you from or prevent you to commit until you fix the linter. So that's very helpful. I think we can do the same on the backend. So both repositories can be like linter free. So also on the package of the backend, we can add this code here. Okay. Okay, after this, we need to go to front end, source, app, dashboard, components. And then we are going to create a home folder to display the home of the dashboard. Right now, it's not going to have the layout of the dashboard. That's going to be for next video. Right now, we are only working on functionality of the getAppById. This is going to be TSX, index TSX. So basically, this component is going to get the main layout and just render an H1 saying home. Very basic component. Later, we need to go now to app dashboard, components, my apps, cards, index. And then here, we're going to include a constants file that we will create with this content stage link. I'm going to show you that a little bit later on this video. Also, we are going to include or import this link component that we just created, or we will create it. Then we're going to receive a router in our props. So basically, after items, we need to place route there, here. And in the map that we have, right here before the render, I'm going to assign to the router the app ID, getting the ID from the app item. Basically, we need to pass that link to the section like this. So in that way, we now can click on the icon of the application and get redirected to the actual application. Something like this. With this component, we need to pass an href. This stage link is going to receive the router, and then it's going to return an object with two positions, href and .as. The as basically is like the I want to say like the mask of the link, and the href is the actual link. So I will show you that a little bit later when we create this constant file. Okay, so now let's go to dashboard, my apps, index, this one outside. And this one also needs to pass the router because we are passing down from the parent to the child, this prop, so we need to pass the router here. And then here on cards, it's getting an error because it's expecting the router. Something like this. And now we can create, or in source, we need to create a folder called constants. Then inside, we need to create a file links.ts, which is going to be this one. So this stage link is going to receive an URL. For now, I just call U because later we are going to add more links like this and it's gonna get bigger. So basically just to keep the shortest max line in here. So in the as, we are going to say if we have something on the URL, we are going to map this to /dashboard.u.app.id u.stage. So basically this is going to be dashboard slash the UUID of the app slash master or stage. If it doesn't have anything, basically we just return empty. And the href is, sorry, I was wrong before. I told you that the as was the mask of the link, but looks like it's the href. So by mask, I mean like you put like dashboard slash and then using square brackets, the name of the parameter you are going to spec on next. So basically app ID and stage, and on as, you will put the actual values. Now in our context folder, we need to create app.tsx file for the app context. So in this one, we are going to get the use query from Apollo client. We are going to get this GraphQL query, getAppById. We will create it a little bit later. We are going to receive an ID and a children. We are going to have a state in our app context. So in the provider, basically we are going to receive the ID of the application and the children. Then we are going to set our state. We are going to execute the query, getAppById query, passing the variables with the ID. And the data is going to be received here. So we can use a use effect block to see if we are actually getting the data of the app. If we get it, now we will set state getAppById with data app.getAppById. So we are getting the actual data here, and we are passing that that state to the context, passing that to the provider. This is pretty simple context for the app. So this is going to run every time we hit the app ID link with the stage. So it's going to run all the time. Okay, so now we can go to create GraphQL apps, and we will create the new file getAppById.query.ts. Okay, so this is the query, getAppById. We are going to get the ID, and we are going to return the app name, identifier, and the icon, and the ID of the app, of course. Okay, later on, we need to go to pages, dashboard, and in here, we are going to create the parameters, folders, or directories that we need to match the parameters we are sending here. So Next has like a special way to process the router. So basically on the pages, you can specify dynamic parameters by adding folders with that name. For example, we need to create a new folder with square bracket app ID. Then inside that, we need to create another folder saying stage. Then inside stage, we need to create an index file. And basically those are like dynamic, right? So we are going to get the values of those on the router. So on the index file, we have this. Basically, we need to use router from next router, the app provider, user provider, and the form provider. We need to import our home component from the dashboard, the simple one that we created. And then we initialize our router with use router. Then we get the app ID from the router.query, meaning the app ID from this folder. If that doesn't exist, we basically avoid the render or just render an empty div. If we have the app ID, then we need to grab on the user profile the app provider with the ID of the app, form provider, and then the home. So in this point, with this app provider, we are going to execute the query to get the getAppById using this ID and getting the app information. Then we need to go to the index that is on dashboard. And in here, we are going to kind of emulate the router, but we cannot get the actual router because this is gonna be /dashboard, and we don't have like the data of the, we don't have the ID of the app on the URL, and also we don't have the stage. So we need to set that manually. So after we execute the query getApps query, we need to get the router and then app-id. If we get some data there, we are going to get the first element.id, and the stage is going to be master. And then basically we need to pass the router to our my apps like this. And that's why this app-id basically is going to get changed. If you remember, where was it? My apps, cards, index, right here, router.app-id equals to index. So this is going to display each application block, and it's going to assign each ID of the app. Okay, so now we can go to our server, TS, and then I'm going to add some TypeScript here, some types for express the application request response. Also, we need to import build URL from fogg-utils. Then our express application is gonna be of application type. The login request and response before was an in, now it's gonna be request and response. And here is getting some error with the query because now needs to be very specific, the query we are sending, not like this anymore. But we don't need this parameter for now, so we can remove that. We also going to include the logout link. So this logout is going to get the query redirect to. If it doesn't have it, then it's going to redirect to the index. It's going to clear the cookie access token and then redirect to the specific path that we want. Then on our dashboard, we need to make some changes here. So basically now we have two parameters, the app-id and the stage. So we need to get that, get those params using the structuring from request.params, and then we need to build the URL using dashboard /API /app-id/stage, and this is going to return like a string like dashboard slash the ID slash master, for example. So with this, we can pass the URL that is generated to our next render. So we can remove this query as well. And before we will render just /dashboard, which is the index. But now we're going to render /URL, so this is gonna be dynamic, right? So now we need to go to share components, logo, index, and this link we are going to change it from @UI link with capital letter. We're going to create this component. Actually, it's the next file. And then now we can remove this a tag here, like this, okay. Now inside share components, we will create a folder UI, and then inside the file link .tsx, something like this, and then let me copy this component. So basically this component is like an extension from the next link component. Basically it's going to receive the children, the href, as is optional, class name is optional, onClick, title is optional as well. We are going to get all these props. We set our link props with onClick and class name, then props with href. If we have the prop as, then we attach that to prop.as equal as. If the children is string, basically means that you are linking something like link whatever, and then you put the link as text here. Whatever, google.com. So this is string, right? But probably you can link a div or whatever. But if it's a string, then we are going to copy that string to the title of the link. And basically our next link, which is the link component of next, is going to have the props, which is going to be href and as, and the a tag inside next link is going to have the link props. The title is going to be optional. If it has the title, then put it, otherwise just put empty string and just the children later. That's it. So that's it, all the changes that we need to do. Now we are going to test this. As I say again, we don't have like the layout design yet, so you will see just like a blank page with home, but I'm going to show you like it's actually working, getting the request. Okay, we got an error here. And why is this? Cannot read type of undefined. Get apps here, okay. So this is on dashboard index, okay. Gotcha, okay. So this router thing that we pasted on the dashboard index has to be after the loading, right? Because the first time the loading is true, so we don't have data available. So that's why it's failing. So let me refresh this part. So that should work now, I guess. So if I go to /dashboard, okay, it's going to kick me out because I have like an empty user. I need to create a new one. Okay, so now I can log in. Carlos.santana@dev.education 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I'm logging. Okay, so well, this is fine. I need to go to /dashboard. Okay, so we get our apps here. We don't have right now any app, but we can create one. So for example, our app is going to be blog. We are going to create it, and we are going to get redirect to /appid, which is this ID that we just created, /master. And now we are on home. I mean, this is a blank page, but later it's going to be like, it's going to have the layout. But then if we go to inspect and we go to network and we refresh with this URL here, you will see that we have two Webpack queries going on here. The first one is get user data, which is going to return the data of the user, right? Like email, ID, privilege, username, whatever. And then we have the second one, which is getAppById. And it's returning the information of that application. Is a blog, is this color on the icon, this is the ID, and this is the identifier. So that means it's work. So now let me show you. I'm not sure if I have like in linter errors, so let me see if I have some. Okay, we don't have any. But I guess, well, the thing is that if I have something like this and I save it, pre-tier is going to automatically remove. So I'm not sure how to force a linter error, but what we can do here to test our Husky part is that we actually try to do a commit, like video 13 get app by ID. So here, when I'm going to commit this part, you will see that it's going to run Husky, you see? Okay, there is some error there. Husky pre-commit, and then it's going to get an error. So basically ESLint could not find the config Airbnb to extend from. Okay, so I'm going to fix that later on the next video, but at least now we test that our pre-commit is working and is connected. If you see now it's preventing me to commit. So it's here, pre-commit hook fail. We can skip this by adding the -- not verify to bypass. I don't recommend you to do that, of course, but at least we are making sure that it's not going to work until we fix this part. So for now, I think it's gonna be everything for this video. I don't want to make it any longer. So remember that if you like the video, please recommend this channel to your friends, and also this video. If you have any question about this project, feel free to join our Slack community. The link is on the description. So that's it. I hope you have a good day and see you on the next video. Bye.